In the past 6 years, Metallica have gone from cult status to become one of the most prominent heavy metal bands in the world. Earlier this year, they were selected to represent the metal category at the Grammy Awards presentation, and their song One made a very strong showing on the Billboard singles charts in America. Also, they made a promotional video for One, ending their stance against doing that. Recently, we had a chance to go to Hamilton. We went to Copps Coliseum and spoke to band members Lars Ulrich and Kirk Hammett. We also talked to the crew that make the Metallica show what it is, the sound, lights, staging, and special effects guys. And most importantly, the fans who have supported Metallica since the outset. As part of our special, we'll have some bits from the Metallica home video, Cliff 'Em All. And at the end, great giveaway, so stay tuned. Metallica, Justice on Wheels, a comprehensive look at probably the most influential band in metal today.
Metallica are a thing unto themselves, to be honest with you.
To imitate is to create. You have to start somewhere.
It all comes from the music. You have to know the music inside out.
I think we're very, very honest about our natural sort of growth and development.
Metallica will just hit home and hit it hard. You know, they get to the point.
I was talking to some of the crew before the show while they were setting up, and there's an amazing affection and respect for the band. Is it a family situation out there?
We hang out together. I mean, we're all buddies. I mean, it's like, you know, if you travel around with all these people for a year and a half, I mean, it's hard not to become friends. We're pretty easy to get along with everyone in the band, and it's just, we all hang out together as much as we can.
I saw an amazing respect too. I mean, these guys come from all different backgrounds, different ages, different, you know, interests, but they respect this band and what this group has got to say. It was very impressive.
Well, like I said, you know, it's all a mutual sort of thing. We respect them because these guys are the best in what they do.
Musically, this is a bit of a different sort of thing for you, right?
Yeah, I enjoy it. I like Metallica, a lot of energy and that. They're pretty nice guys, and you know, no complaints at all.
What's like the hairiest situation you could run into during a show?
With who? With Metallica?
Yeah.
I once had my arm pulled out of a socket at a show in Houston a few years ago, yeah. James used to jump into the crowd and I used to jump in and get him out, and I got my arm pulled out of its socket one night, so that was pretty hairy, I guess, you know. Not too pleasant, but, you know, that's pretty bad. I mean, there could be worse things than that. But,
you know, that's pretty bad. How many instruments are you working with at any given time?
What, guitars?
Yeah.
He only takes 3 on the road, like, some guitars will take like a dozen, maybe, like Kirk uses a few more, but I only have to look after 3, so it could be worse.
I would think with the speed approach to playing that he'd be breaking strings light. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, some nights he breaks. I think the record so far is 5 in a night. He wants to go for 5, but I mean, last few nights have been pretty good. We've had a good run, so let's, you know, touch wood and hope it keeps up.
What's special about doing sound for a Metallica show?
I think Metallica as a band are more of a concept sound as opposed to a sort of a general rock and roll sound. It's like, okay, you can do an overall sound, but it doesn't suit Metallica. It sounds real sort of flat and not very powerful unless you get some sort of bottom end and some power behind it. You know, you have to create the power.
How's that different from any other rock and roll gig that you might do?
I think everything else is much easier, actually. Metallica are a thing unto themselves, to be honest with you.
Now, when one thinks of an arena show, you think about everything like being completely worked out, cue to cue, everything just being as tight as possible. Is there any room for improvisation and to, changing the show? Really?
All the time. Metallica are full of that. I mean, if they played the set twice in a row, it would be amazing. You know, every night's a different thing, literally.
Really?
To the way they play, to the way everybody feels, the way it's going to go over.
You ever get caught by surprise?
All the time.
Give me an example. What happened?
It's endless. I mean, when they change songs, I'll drop a song, or sometimes they might suddenly throw a song in that they haven't even told me about. It's like, oh, let's do Four Horsemen or Leper Messiah or something. It's like, just go for it. It's like, you know, what can I do? I've just got to make it louder in the story, you know. It's interesting though. It's interesting. It's, as I said, it's a different concept to any other band because they are like, they play all the time, you know, it's like a wall of sound. So you have to create this wall of sound and try to make it listenable, you know, to make it sort of come over as one thing. I mean, nobody ever sort of shuts up to let somebody do a solo or anything. It's always like, that's it, we're playing. I'll sort it out as it goes along.
How much are the fans a part of the show for you?
Oh, 100%. They have to be. I mean, this is what I'm saying. It's like other people may come and see Metallica and think, what's that? You know, but the fans who are into Metallica, they understand what's trying to be captured with the energy involved. The band just ooze energy. It's like, and all I've got to do is try and capture that energy and put it over to the masses, you know.
Now the lighting setup is kind of unique here because towards the end of the show it starts to break down and stuff. What's that mean? Is that something special for you as a setup?
As it breaks down, there's like 4 of us on the lighting crew. We each have our certain gigs that we do. When the trusses come in, I have a certain amount of stagehands that I work with, and I just tell them what to do from each time.
Is there any extra sort of safety things you got to deal with?
There's a lot of safety matters. With each individual light that's hung up there, we have a safety cable around it just in case. That's pretty much it. Everything gets a safety cable around the main truss.
You ever sort of crossed into the danger zone there where you thought, oh my God, what's going to happen next?
Fortunately, haven't had any problems like that. Yeah, so it's been a pretty safe tour so far.
You get together with the band before they start a tour and they say, look, here are the ideas that we want you to represent visually, and then you work it out with them?
No, generally what happens is they call me, I go and get the music, I listen to the music over and over and over till it's in my subconscious, and then something comes out like this looks here.
We were very lucky in that we found a guy named John Broderick who has been, you know, is a veteran or has been around for quite some time, done Aerosmith, Deep Purple, Rainbow, Scorpions and so forth, but hasn't actually done any hard rock metal stuff for about the last 6 years because he was getting very fed up with the sort of way it was all just ending up being cliches and so forth. And he, you know, we sat down and told him that this was our first time out in the arenas. We really wanted to put a visual together that was an interesting visual, that was a different visual, that was something that no bands had done before, but also was a visual that was subtle enough that it was not the selling point. You know what I mean? That it didn't come across like we were just trying to sell a stage show instead of just Metallica out there playing music.
They wanted something different. They didn't want the Iron Maiden look, the heavy metal look. They didn't want the Judas Priest look at all. They wanted it to be different. They didn't want lots of beams. They wanted it to come from the meaning of the album, because if you read the lyrics, as any fan has, who has memorized the lyrics, you know what this band is about, is that they're about anti-war and anti-injustice and things like that.
Do you ever get partway through a tour, look at the setup and go, my God, this is all wrong?
Sure.
And then what?
You change it.
Yeah? What's it like? How do you do that?
You go into a full panic and you stay up for several days and you just change it around till it works. Sometimes I go out and I'll take a tour over from someone else, or they might have to leave and go do another tour, or the band wasn't happy with them, and then you do the same thing. You change it around to make it what you need, but it all comes from the music. You have to know the music inside out, you know, better than the band knows their own music. I can tell the band at any point in any song what any band member is playing. They can't do that with each other.
There's something special with the statue where it's built up over the night and then crumbles at the end. How hard is that to pull off?
It's very easy now because we've done so many shows. It's just like going to bed. It's so easy, you know what I mean? We've done so many shows. I'm pretty good at it now.
What's the material made out of, and how easy is it to move around?
Okay, it's made of fiberglass skin. It's polystyrene inner. So it's really, we have transported inside of 2 set cards, which is just a statue. The rest of it's transported in another 6 set cards. We've got 1 semi for the set. It's very light. It's on the
light system. It's really like to move around. It's like about 4 or 5 guys can move it easy.
I understand that when the lady came down last night, she just about dropped her head on Lars. Is that true?
Yeah, we actually hit the set last night, which was a little bit of an accident because we don't like hurting the guys, but obviously if it happens, the guys are alright, they enjoy it, you know what I mean? It's a good laugh.
They enjoy having pieces of the set fall on them?
Well, it didn't actually hit them, let's put it that way. It was close. It knocked these two cymbals over here, and it landed on Lars. He just looked over and smiled. That was alright with me.
Do you create this stuff for them, or do they come to you and say, look, this is what we want to do, can you make it?
These guys had a design of what they wanted, and so the lighting designer came to me and said, all right, this is what we want, and then I worked with him to make like his, what he envisioned, made it happen, and then I added a few of my own things. So this was like a collaboration, of what they wanted and then what I could spice it up with and everything. So,
what's the toughest part of your gig?
Getting up in the morning. After that, it's pretty much smooth sailing. I get the stuff up in the lighting truss, because I got to go up in the lighting truss and climb around up there, which isn't really that bad. It's just some days just climbing up the lighting truss is just like a royal pain. But I mean, it's not really the hardest job. So kids out there, this is like really pretty an easy job, There's a lot of paperwork involved, you got to get clearances from the fire department and everything, and sometimes you have to do demonstrations. They want to come down and see what you're going to do during the day, so they'll say, like, what's the biggest thing that you have, and you got to set off, like, your biggest device and stuff. I mean, there's probably about 60 or 70 individual little things.
Do you handpick a lot of the guys that work on this tour?
A lot of them I try to keep with me, like truck drivers. All the truck drivers out here with me all come from AC/DC straight to here. And like Pyro came from AC/DC with me, and Dougie, one of the carpenters, came with me. The rest of the guys were in Europe with Metallica touring, so they came with them because I didn't do the European portion of the Metallica tour. So they were already there. But when I can get some of the guys I like in, I do, because especially with the truck drivers and people like that, because you need people to get from the last gig to the next gig. Because although our day starts at 9 in the morning, if they don't get there, we don't start. So the gig really starts when you load out of the last gig. And without them, you can't do nothing. So I like to get the ones I know would go the extra yard for you.
Jake, what's the area of the whole tour setup that could potentially have the worst snags for you?
In which snags do you mean? Like,
well, technically...
Well, part of my job is to advance the shows well in advance with the local promoters, in this case Canada CPI, and with their rep, and to make sure that they have enough power in the building, whether we can hang the full system in the roof, and the stage size is big enough, and of course the labor force and the food. If you advance that properly, then you really shouldn't have any snags. Of course there always are. If it was all smooth, they wouldn't need me, would they? The biggest problem we have with security is the advance press before we come into town. I think some of the people think that because a car gets stolen or a woman gets assaulted or something like that when Metallica's in town, that it doesn't happen the rest of the year. It happens the year round. And I think they think that we bring these people in especially for it, And I guess that's to get annoying. And then buildings and press call other towns, and so when you get into a city, you have a bad rap before you've even got a chance to prove yourself. That's the biggest headache, and they make you, after listening to second-hand information, everything gets blown out of proportion. So when you come in to do security, they want to put more guys than really necessary, which then costs more for the band and things like that, because on bad reports. So the news would be the worst aspect of security.
I don't do everything all the time, but it's just kind of keeping an eye on everything. And it's mostly band related. I mean, Jake deals with most of the production stuff in the show, but it's mostly making sure the band's happy, making sure the band get up on time, get to places on time, do interviews like this and other ones, phoners, various things. Just, it's all band related with me and overall. other thing that I generally deal with is the security. I'll come in each day and deal with the local security, have a security meeting with them, make sure that they know that the guys that are in the barricade between the band and the audience know how to deal with the kids that sometimes come over the barricade, because sometimes, unlike this show, we'll do a general admission show where it's just open seating on the floor, more like open standing, and the kids will just shove up against the barricade and sometimes try to get onto the stage, and sometimes, you know, sort of a rowdy crowd, you might say, you know.
What do you do when they get all pressed in so tight there that obviously people in the right up front are going to have trouble breathing?
Well, we have a special addition to our barricade, which is starting to be done on most of them now, which is Step Up. So it allows the security guards to stand on a platform that's inside the barricade and pull the kids out. So, you know, most of them like it. I mean, you know, we'll always go back and forth across the barricade and see if any of the kids want to get out. But Metallica fans are pretty diehard, and most of them will just choose to stay there. I mean, unless, you know, sometimes people pass out and they get crushed and they get hurt, but we've never, ever had any serious injuries occur during our tour. Excuse me, let's see who's calling, shall we? Production, 2 names for the guest list. This is another part of my job, is the guest list. Or we call it the pest list. Okay, go ahead. Martin Moxey, M-O-X-Y? M-O-X-E-Y? Who's guest? Okay.
What do you do when this one's over? What do you do when you get home?
What do I do when I get home? I don't get off my couch.